There we go. We fixed
Yes.
it.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, so before we get into everything, I think it's nice to we had the conversation, but it's nice to get to know people a little better before we
Uh-huh.
jump into like kind of what the content is.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about kind of like, what's your background? How'd you get started in this area? What do you really want to accomplish? What are your dreams? And we can start from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, sure. So I actually stumbled upon
Okay.
coaching, believe me or not. So
Okay.
my background is business. I grew up in Brazil, and then I graduated. I had my undergrad in business, and then I was doing my MBA in Brazil when I met Mr. Wright,
Okay. That's
who
good.
brought me up. Yeah, that was a good thing. Who brought me
Yeah.
up to the US. And here, before I had kids, so I'm a mom of three, a coach as well, but I wear many hats. So before I had my first child, I was working the corporate world into was mainly, how can I put this? Was a student enrollment, but it was more recruitment of students to this was it was a high-end technical college. Very simply put, it's more than this, but I'm like
Okay.
very simply put,
Yeah.
I was recruiting students to a very high ticket offer. It was 2 years for 40K. People would come in and study for 2 years, 40K, and then they get their technical degree and they go on to work for Boeing and for companies that would start paying them a good amount right off the bat. So
Nice.
I did that and then decided to have kids.
Hmm.
And then, fast forward 3 kids, my life started feeling like purposeless.
Hmm.
Almost like I think a lot of moms feel that way, to where we're like, oh my gosh, I'm lost.
Hmm.
You truly, especially if you're coming from a background of very active, right? I had my own businesses in Brazil. I had my degree, and then you're in a new country, and then you start to work, and then boom, all of that is behind, and you're thrown into motherhood. I see a lot of ladies that they feel the same way. Oh my gosh, I don't know who I am anymore. Kind of
Hmm.
lost. So, and then at that point, I started, looking for different things that I could do. I was actually going through a hard time with anxiety, actually, because my dad was going through a lot of health problems. And in my mind, I was blaming myself for what he was going through. So, anyways, experiencing anxiety for the first time in my life, and nothing that I was doing helped me until I'm like, a friend told me, why don't you try a life coach? I'm like, a life coach? I don't need a coach.
Hmm.
Like, it was such a foreign concept for me. And I was like, well, I've tried so much stuff. Why not? And in that first session, I felt, something different. And then things start shifting already in one session. I'm like, this
Okay.
is amazing. So, and then fast forward, did a lot of coaching for myself as a client. And it got to a point that I started sharing all of the tools that I was learning with other people. And my friends were like, Zil, you need to do this. I think this is
Hmm.
your next profession. I'm like, no, not at all, right? Not at all. And that voice just grew stronger and louder.
Hmm.
Just could not become a life coach. So I started off as a general life coach. I was
Hmm.
coaching people on any problem, on
Okay.
anything.
Hmm.
And then as I evolved, hundreds and hundreds of hours of coaching under my belt, I've now decided to coach coaches.
Okay.
That's the easiest way for me to make an impact in the biggest number of people. So if I help one coach, I'm truly helping potentially hundreds of people through that one coach.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, my impact can be way bigger if I'm helping those coaches get confidence into, selling their services, better their coaching, because,
Mhm.
some might not be coaching well, and that's why they're
Yeah.
not. So whatever it is, and that's the work I'm putting myself out there to doing now. So I'm walking out of general life coaching into this new niche. Therefore, I'm still carrying clients into, just life coaching. Let's keep
Okay.
on doing whatever life, relationships. It definitely a big thing that I do, right, with the life coaching. So I'm in this limbo, right, jumping into the new niche, but still detaching from those clients, slowly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so
That makes
that's
sense.
my journey in a nutshell. It's much bigger than this, but
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love this kind of like this transformation. And sometimes I think the best leaders, they tend to be the ones that aren't the one that self-select, but the world kind of selects them for the thing that they ought to be doing, right? Like
yeah.
the world recognizes something inside of people that's, like it's maybe we don't recognize it inside ourselves, and they're like, no, you should be doing this thing. And eventually it gets to the point where you do want to do it, which is really beautiful. I love that. There is a woman who I think would be really benefit from maybe connecting with you, that I know
Oh,
that she's a life coach, and it would be helpful for her because I could tell that she's in a state where she has a couple clients, but she needs to understand how she serves people better, right?
yeah.
She needs to learn that process. She needs to figure out how to charge for it in a better way, how to get more clients for herself, and how to build a business out of her coaching kind of business, and actually not just like something she does occasionally.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's one connection. And I think that's also a principle and a philosophy of the podcast as well, is how
Mhm.
can you bridge gaps and build connections and build relationships where
Uh-huh.
both people, when they're together, they produce more value for the world than they could ever do independently, which is the power of the relationships. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally see that. And you know what? That's amazing because we need each other, right? You cannot go there, whatever your there is, alone.
Yeah.
I suppose you could, right? But it would take so much longer and it would
Yeah.
be so boring, right?
Yeah.
It's way more fun to go with people who are like minded, who
Yeah.
can teach you what they already know. So, in a sense, we uplift each other and we go together. And it's fun
Yeah.
because you know what? The world is so abundant that there is lots and lots for everybody,
Yeah.
and lots more for
Yeah.
every and lots more. So I think once you tap into this abundance mindset and you understand that what's yours is yours, and you know what's theirs is theirs, and there is never gonna be a lack of anything for you, then you tap into this energy of sharing, of uplifting others, of sharing experiences, of bringing people with you. And that's the secret. And I love the purpose of your podcast. Truly, like when I saw first the title, I'm like, this is so intriguing, and this is something that I'm 100% on board, because I do believe in this philosophy of relationships and bringing people together, connections, right? So yes, love, love, love all of this.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing is, I feel like it comes so much from a foundation of how we grow up and how our families are, that determine kind of the nature of the relationships we end up forming. Like, I'm sure it was probably similar in Brazil, but that feeling of like the family is there, like that the familia está ahí, we're gonna be together through anything, and we're gonna celebrate every little moment. We can overcome anything. Like there is nothing that the family couldn't overcome. At least that was the way that I was raised.
Mhm.
Did you have that same kind of feeling growing up as well, where that family orientation was so strong that you felt like I could overcome anything? Or was it how was it for you? That kind of the first foundations of the relationships.
Yes, absolutely right. The family, and when we talk family, we are not saying here, I think in the US, when you say family, most people think, okay, mom and dad and kids, right?
Yeah.
That's the family. But we're talking cousins and
Yeah.
aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa. Actually, I never met my grandpa, but grandma. And then all the aunts that are not truly blood related, but you grow up calling them tia, tia, tio, right? Everybody's tia, everybody's tio. So even if your immediate family, right, your blood related family can pull it together for you to help you, you have a ton of tios and tias
Yeah.
who have nothing to do with your blood, but they're still part of your family. So that's huge for me. And yes, I felt so supported, by my brother. Actually, he is one of the people that are so influential to me. I have two brothers, but the one right above me was incredible. I felt that I could do anything and everything because of him. He took care
Hmm.
of me. He was a sweetheart. He was, not that tough boy, so sweet, and he was always taking care of me. And just their relationship, because my parents worked a ton. My mom was, a working mom. She had businesses in Brazil. My dad as well. So I grew up in an entrepreneur family. Duh, right? Look at me. Right? That's
Yeah.
not, right? So that too, Jonas, that too has lots to do with who I am today,
Hmm.
right? Those early exposures to entrepreneurship that came from my parents.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So felt money, and that's crazy, right? Because we're not talking about money. But my relationship with money today, I don't think it's like most people's relationship because I've seen money come in. Like I've seen a lot of money. Like I've touched money as a kid, right? Being at the register, I'm like, holy cow, this is a lot of money, right? Money, money, money. And then I found out about banks. And then my
Hmm.
dad was like, well, this money actually goes to the bank. Gotta pay the bank. And I was like, man, I hate banks. Like you get all of this and you have to pay the bank. Yes, you
Yeah.
have to pay the bank. So I remember learning about banks. At first I thought all of this is ours, right? No, I gotta pay the banks. You have bills, and then I learn about bills. I'm like, that's fine. So, and then there were times where business was not so good. Right?
Hmm.
There were times that we were more on the lower side of this rope, right? Where, gosh, it was way harder because economy, whatever. But even at those times, I think because of those early relationships, and talking here now about relationship with money as well, because of those early relationships, I really never felt scarce. And
Yeah.
how did you get on money? I don't know. You tell me.
It's funny because I think that, I think people have this, a lot of people have a weird relationship with money, but I think that money so much has to do with our ability to, it's so much to do with our ability to solve problems together, right? At least this is kind of how I grew up, is like when there was a problem, there is almost always when it's a problem is big enough, there's almost always some kind of monetary or resource related thing that's associated with it. And if you have a really good relationship with each other and with the money, and with understanding that that money is really a tool that you're using to help solve problems for the family or help solve problems for each other, then the money doesn't matter. It's like, okay, cool, we're going to make enough, we're going to do enough, and we're going to bring in as much as possible. But we're using it because it's going to elevate the entire tribe together. We're not going to fight each other because of the thing. You know what I mean? We're going to
Yeah.
improve each other because of what we have. And this is also where I think we get to learn from each other's experience growing up, right? Because in my family, it wasn't that money was coming in all the time, but it was always that we had more than enough than we ever needed. And we always could solve the problem no matter what happened, right? If someone passed away, there wasn't problems about, hey, we don't have enough for the funeral. Who's going to get that didn't happen. It was like, how can we make sure that we're through this together? And that's the particular relationship that we particularly had, right? And then you guys had one that was slightly different, but we're learning about this tool is just a tool for the relationships that we were having and the family that we had and where we wanted to go next. So I wanted to kind of give you that too, because we come from each place in the world, and each person has that unique starting place. But at the end, the goal is somewhat similar. We're caring for each other, and we want to get better, and we want to have more abundance because it's unlimited in the world. It's infinite. So we might as well have more, because even if we got all of it, there will still be more of it because it's infinite. So there's no worry about that. And if we had more, we could solve more of the things for the family and make it better, right? And we can define family as however we want, like kind of like the tias and the tios, those extended, that's still family. You know what I mean? So that's the curious thing. And we're engaging in that, and I'm kind of loving that direction, because it's beautiful to see that. But do you see what I mean? Where it's like we're coming from different places, but there's a lot of similarities. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. We are part of the human family, right? We are all
Oh,
humans. So
wow.
lots
Yeah.
of similarities there.
Wow.
Right? So I'm thinking, how would your life and my life and everybody who's listening to this, how would your life change today if you saw your neighbors, right? People in your community, co-workers, if you saw them as part of your family under this human family, and that you truly knew that, first of all, you could be someone that others could count on, right? First off, you put yourself in the position where you're available, right? knowing that, man, down the road, this is gonna come right back to me, because it's one of the laws of the universe. It's the law of the harvest, and it works every time. You harvest whatever you plant, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And you might not harvest right now, but down the road you are harvesting that, whatever that is. So yes, I like to look at us as, and we are, right, we are all connected. We are all connected to this energy. We are connected through God, who made us. And we are truly, this beautiful fabric of human connection. So yes, those are my thoughts about that.
Do you feel like, so then I guess as you've grown, and it's funny because I think, we inherit a relationship to money when we're born into a certain family, and we
Uh-huh.
don't have control over where we're born, but we can be super grateful about the circumstances we happen to be born into. But then everyone has their own trajectory, because everyone has their own purpose they have to go out and do ultimately, and that purpose is going to determine, there's going to be a different amount of resources and money they're going to need to fulfill that thing, right? Like, if
Mhm.
your purpose is to coach, it's to help as many coaches as possible be able to maximize their difference, because you're providing that much value and that's part of who you are, and you're naturally going to get there regardless, right? If that's what's pulling you, you almost don't have a choice. I got to go this way, you
Mhm.
know? And if that's the thing that you're going to do, ultimately your relationship to money is going to be different than someone who has a different path,
Mhm.
because you're going to be providing value in a different way. When you provide that value, you're going to get it back in a different way, right?
Mhm.
So what's been kind of your journey, and kind of people that have influenced you as you've gone from the relationship you've had with money from when you were a child, when you grew up in the family that you inherited, to the new one that you get to form for yourself, that's completely unique to your journey and where you're trying to get to?
Yes. So that's a great question. And I'll tell you the truth. I'll be so vulnerable here. And we're
Mhm.
talking about relationships, right? So I think the number one ingredient that we need to connect with people is vulnerability. When I started my coaching, even though I had an amazing relationship with money and I never had this scarcity around money, but when I first started, I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know how to make money as just me. It's just zeal, right? I knew I wanted to help people. I was already helping people. I was helping a ton of people because my friends would call and they got a lot of value. Very much so that they were the ones who started telling me, "You need to charge for this," right? But at the beginning, there was some fear there.
Mhm.
Okay, some fear around money,
Mhm.
and I think was natural because if you think, and Jonas, back to your point of in Brazil, and you have the family, you have the support, and maybe there I would be like, I can't do anything. Look at my support, look at my family, look at my tios and tias. I'm in
Mhm.
my zone. I
Mhm.
can thrive here. But now you bring me to a different country and my
Yeah.
beautiful accent, right? So in my mind, I'm like, oh, your English sucks. Sorry, my French. I don't know if you
Mhm.
kind
No,
of
it's
catch
okay.
that.
Don't worry about it.
Your English is this and that. Oh, can you truly do this? Who do you think you are to charge people? I had all of those thoughts and I
Mhm.
had a ton of fear.
Mhm.
So at the beginning, I had to just do it.
Mhm.
And I remember having a conversation with two friends, and one, she's a go-getter and she's so successful in the real estate business. She
Mhm.
owns a ton of properties. The other one, she's also, very successful in her business. So, anyways, we're having this
Mhm.
conversation of what I would charge, money, right? And they threw some numbers out there that felt like robbing people. I was like, what? This is a lot. They're like, no, it truly isn't, because their mindset was in a different place. And because they had grown already into the position they were with their businesses, I couldn't go there. Today, I'm actually, today is so easy. But
Mhm.
anyways, I had to overcome that fear first. And what helped me to overcome that fear is
Mhm.
exactly what I teach my clients today, what I teach coaches today:
Mhm.
confidence. Okay.
Mhm.
You have to start somewhere, whatever that is. And for me, I had to start, at a certain price point, and you grow from there. and you start looking at the results that you're having. You start looking at the results your clients are having. And then you understand your value. And you understand a bit more of that value. And the magic happens when your clients start referring their friends to you. The moment I had one client, she was in the health industry, and she started referring her clients to me, back to back to back to back. She truly almost filled my practice early on, just by referring. And again, to your point, to the point of your podcast, the relationship with the client, right? And the relationship she had, how that helped me. So it wasn't until I truly had to step into the fear and to do a little bit more and to grow a bit more, to understand my value, to be blessed by the relationships I was building in my business. So I was getting, referrals that I could unblock, that I could reconnect to the money mindset that I knew was already there. I already knew was there, right? Today is a different game, Jonas. Today, I'm not there anymore. But you know what? It was there all along. But there was a disconnect, and fear would do that to you. Fear will disconnect you from the relationships you have built. Fear will disconnect you from your tribe, right? Fear. Once you overcome that, once you unlock that, then man, nobody can hold you back. Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because I think, I think as we go along, as we grow, we realize that when we really invest in ourselves to invest into other people, and we give them something that's so valuable, like a really good coaching experience that takes them from not having confidence to having the full confidence that they need, the thing that we're offering is so valuable, right? Like, I'm sure if you help a coach, like let's say you help the girl that I know, or if you helped any coaches go from not knowing how to charge to knowing how to charge, right? To going from not having confidence to having 10 clients every month, or 20 clients, 30 clients, whatever their capacity is, right? And you're taking them down that journey, and they're receiving, and their families are receiving, and there's so much being given through them because of your capacity to give to them, right? You've earned it, of course, right? Like, you've earned the right. If I'm gonna make you 30,000 this month, I'm gonna make you 50,000. I need 3,000 to make that happen. I need 5,000 because I need to invest into myself back again so I can keep giving, right? Whatever that number is, it's like we're giving so much more. And I guess people are afraid they don't feel like they can give as much, and maybe that's the trepidation in the beginning is, am I worth that? Or maybe, am I able to deliver that? And they have that fear. But once we overcome that and actually say, no, you're getting millions of dollars of value right now. You're lucky that we're giving you, and that feeling of like, no, there's a lot to offer. There's a lot to give. And that it's okay that price doesn't matter, so I love that process. Yeah.
Yes. And let me tell you what, along those same lines of, people who, as you give and as you give value, people will refer their friends to you, whatever, you can grow organically. And today, before our call, I had the husband of one of my clients texting me, trying to get a hold of me. And I'm like, cool, it's so-and-so's husband, and we are friends. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, Zil, I've been talking to this guy for 9 months. Friend of mine, a buddy of mine. I've been telling him about you for 9 months. And every time we talk and he brings up the problems he has, he's a lawyer, right? And he's actually having problems in his marriage right now.
Yeah.
So as I told you, as I pivot from life coaching into business coaching coaches, those people still come to me, and I'm not going to turn my back to them. So he's like, I've been telling him, you don't need therapy, you need a coach. And Zil is your coach. My wife's life has changed so much. Our family has changed. Our relationship has changed a lot. And his wife does both life and business coaching with me. She's an entrepreneur as well. And my wife's business has, blossomed since she started working with you. So that guy, I coach him here and there, but my client is his wife, and he's seeing the result in his wife's life, and he's telling a friend that
Yeah.
is completely out of my radar about
Hmm.
my work. And that friend is calling me today. He already knows my price and he's ready to jump on board. So relationships, it goes back to where we were at the beginning, right? And once, I guess, to connect it all together, once you understand your value, once you know what you're putting out there, once you have breaking through the fear of embracing who you are and what you can bring and the gift you can give into the world. And once you truly value those relationships, stay connected, serve your clients, serve your people, whoever is close to you. It could be your neighbor, right? It could be your kids' mom, whoever they are. Once you value those relationships and stay present and serve them, comes back to you in ways that you could never imagine. In 100 years, I would never imagine that my client's husband had been talking to someone for 9 months.
Yeah.
And then I told him, jokingly, I'm like, God, hey, do you want to work for me? Like, I would hire you as my marketing, like right now, right? He's like, no, no, don't worry. You've done so much for our family just by coaching my wife. And I am glad to do
Hmm.
this and to tell other people about your work.
Hmm.
Boom, it comes back at you. I didn't even try. What I'm doing, I'm just staying focused on serving my people to the best that I can and to build those relationships and to continue making connections. That's all, right?
Yeah.
Simple, isn't it?
So, and that's the really, I think that's so cool, the process. You influence the family so much that the entire family, I'm sure, and then if they have kids, I'm sure their kids are in a better situation, and their future, regardless of what happens, is kind of like they're always going to be brighter because of the time that his wife and you guys spent together. And something that I'm curious about is this idea of, like, I think a lot of times people in business or in life are kind of very transactional, right? They do something and they get one result and that's it, right? They don't see that the value is in the long relationship. It's in that, I've been coaching this person for the last 10 years and they've changed from this person into this person. And because of that time, that's what was the transformation, because we didn't know where we were going to end up in 10 years, but we started and we said, we're going to keep going. So I'm curious about your relationship with long relationships, long forms of service, and being able to keep that going for a longer period of time. And what you've noticed about the difference between someone you've coached for like a few months and the people you've been coaching over the course of the last few years over your career, and see what that difference is, or over that lifetime.
Hmm. Yes, the difference is major, right?
Mm.
Some people come in and they're done, right? They do one round and they're done. Or the people, they'll come in and they'll stay on and they will ask, right? Even before their round is over, they're like, oh, we're continuing, right? You have room for me, right? So yes, the results are infinite, right? As someone continues to nurture their relationship and stays connected, and once that person is open to continue investing and taking their relationship to the next level, they see incredible results in their lives. Now, what I want to also bring and give this to your audience is the following. Hey guys, listen up. This is very important. If you want to write this down, seriously, this can change your life. So, Zell, how do I keep nurturing relationships for the long run, right? How how do I make sure that those relationships can last? Guys, you can't. But you know what you can't. That's out of your control, right?
Mhm.
What you can do are two things, and this is what I want you to write down. You are detached of any outcome, and you are serving people for the highest good because you're a good human, because you're a good person, because you want to show up in the world as your best version, and because you do have a responsibility to make the world a better place. You do. If I look at the world and if I believe that I'm responsible for making this better, I'm going to get there and make it better. And imagine if I think that and you think that and your listeners think that, then we have a whole revolution here of a lot of people thinking that they're responsible for showing up as the best humans they can, for helping each other. And guess what happens? What's the result of that, right? A lot of people being helped, and this sense of community and relationships that you preach to so much. So guys, detachment. You don't go out to make those connections in those relationships thinking about what's in it for you. And Jonas, I think it's preached out there so much, okay, in social media and a lot of gurus. I think that's their approach. Okay, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Then you go already into, say, a coaching relationship thinking, what's in it for me? And it's me. Guess what?
Right.
Whatever you plant, remember the law of harvest, whatever you plant, you harvest. If you're planting selfishness, me, there's not much to harvest, right?
Yeah.
So show up detached. It doesn't matter. I'm going to show up to this person, serve, right? I've done free calls and I continue to do those free calls. Actually, I would like to offer a community. If anybody wants to come in for a free call, I'll help you. I'll take a look into your coaching business and give you some pointers. I do that because it's fun. And I do that because I feel a sense of responsibility to help the other individual. And you know what happens? Maybe next year, that person is going to contact me, right? Maybe not, but who cares? Just by making her or his life better, I've already done some good. And it comes back to me in another way, maybe through a client's husband who has been telling someone for 9 months about my coaching, right? Somehow it's going to come back to me. So detachment. Second thing is service. Get out there with the mentality of service. I'm going to serve. That's it. I'm just going to get out there and help. And that's how you get to nurture those relationships into long-term relationships. Because you keep nurturing, you are not serving because you want to get something out of it. It's so clean and it feels so light and it's so detached that the other person wants to be with you. It's fun to be around you.
Yeah.
Right? It feels good. Your energy is awesome. People will magnetically be drawn to you and remember you, then refer you. Just do that and let the universe, let God take care of the rest.
I love that. I really love that. And so I think, that's a really beautiful thing. And you taught me something too about, you got to be detached, not kind of attached to one particular result. You got to be available to be the person that can provide the service. But just because you're available doesn't mean everyone's going to come to do that thing. But being able to say, hey, if you need it, I'm here. And the ones that need it will stay. And the ones that, and maybe they'll come back, they'll leave and they'll come back. And there's all this, there's journey that they're going on. And we got to be okay that they're going through that journey. But we got to still be the person that's saying, hey, look, I have this thing. This is how I can help you grow. This is how we're going to be able to grow together. So I think this is super beautiful. I love the process. And so if people that are listening through want to access your coaching, what should they do? Where should they go to learn more and sign up for a coaching process so that they can go ahead and revamp their coaching business or get life coaching as well? Where would be the places online that they can head to?
Go to my Instagram. It's at Zill, Z as in zillionaire, I-L. Don't you love it?
I love
For
that.
the longest time, I spelled my name as Z as in zebra.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I love the zebras. Z as in zebra. Then I changed for Z as in Zulu. I'm like, Zulu? What the heck is even Zulu?
Right.
I was like, okay, zillionaire. Oh my goodness, that feels.
Yeah.
Z as in zillionaire, I-L-E-I-L-E-R coaching at Z Weiler Coaching. So go there. You can DM me there. If you mention the show, just mention the show, and I'll be happy to chat with you. Truly. If you want to get on a sales call, great. Say, Zill, I truly want to work with you. I'm coming for a sales call. Then we'll do a sales call. But if you truly just want, me to to chat with you, to look at where you are, to give you some pointers. Mention the podcast, mention the show, and I'll be happy to do that. And it's not going to be a sales call. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so then if you guys want access to that, just go through the show notes. There'll be a link right there. It'll be super simple. But Zil, this was amazing. I love the conversation. It was so good. And it's so nice to connect to other people who had that kind of original upbringing of the family kind of oriented to it. There's abundance in the world, whether it's abundance of love, of material, of money, of resources. There's abundance there, and we got to support each other through. And now we have a new life that we get to generate ourselves and be of service to all the people around us. So excited to hear more about the stories you guys that you have and the success you create for other people. I'm going to connect you to some people that I think would be really beautiful for them to learn from you. And I'm super excited to see where else these goes and how the listeners can really attach themselves to what you're teaching and how they can grow from there. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the chance to be here. It was a lovely conversation. Love your energy. And I think this podcast is a lot, has a lot of value, and it's a beautiful service that you're putting out there for your community, for their friends, and for everybody. So it was definitely an honor to be, part of your world today. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So good. We'll talk soon. So nice. And then I guess enjoy the rest of your night. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.